Good morning, everyone. Today I will discuss chapter 1 or the lesson 1, which is all about the nature of mathematics. So, for the expected learning outcomes at the end of this lesson or chapter is that the students could be able to articulate the practical uses and importance of mathematics in one's life, identify and appreciate patterns in nature and regularities in the world, establish the relationship between Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. Okay. Now, first, we will define what is mathematics. Now, this is the formal definition according to Stewart. So, according to him, mathematics developed by human mind and culture is a formal system of thought for recognizing, classifying, and exploiting patterns. So, one simpler explanation of mathematics is represented by this figure. Mathematics is a study of patterns. So, patterns naturally occurs in our nature, which can be explained by math. Another one, mathematics is a language. So, anong language siya? So one concrete example for this one is the binary codes in the computer. So especially those who are IT major or with the related field sa IT, they really know that they use a series of codes in order to run a certain software or command. So kana siya, kailangan nila mo gamit og mga concepts sa math para maka-express sila or maka-formulate sila og series of codes nga mo correspond siya sa certain command. Another one, it is a process of thinking which will further um, develop your critical thinking skills. So with math, you could be able to question something. Hala, kanang how did it come up with that certain value kung may problem, yan na, and others. Another one, it is a set of problem-solving tools. Now, ever since elementary pata, we really know that mathematics is always something nga ikaw ga problema, pero ikaw ra po daw mo solve. Now, anyway, it still gives us the idea that in every problem, there is always a solution. Another one, mathematics is an art. So, anong art na po siya, no? I think art siya in the sense nga, behind those complicated ideas and concepts, there is something beautiful in it. So, for example, when you solve a difficult problem, yes, lisod siya, but after nimo siya na-solve, or at the end, ma-appreciate nimo siya nga ay, sada di ay siya in the sense nga needed din ako to siya undergo nga process para ma-achieve na ko ang outcome or ang result. Okay. So, what is mathematics for? So, para din na siya. Ngano kailangan pa man ako na siya tunan? Magamit ba na ko na siya? Magpalit ko sa tindahan? So, di ba, there are some questions like that from the students or from the individuals who is somewhat doubtful sa math. Nga nung i-appeal pa man na siya nga. Complicated, galisod-isod, di ba? Nga na ang comments sa uban. Now, we might not appreciate it, but mathematics is useful in making conclusions and or predictions of the events of the world. Okay. Now, one thing is for sure, that everything in this world is uncertain. However, no matter how uncertain it is, there are some things or napoy uban nga somewhat pwede na to siya ma-predict. Dili lang pod siya ingon nga buot-buot lang tag predict, taka-taka lang tag pang-guess or panghula. Pero we will use some concrete ideas and evidences to create a prediction that is somewhat close na mahitabo or somewhat most likely to happen. Another one, we can use this to describe the natural order and occurrences of the universe. Now, why do we need to disturb lugar and disturb the universe by describing how it operates? It's how it operates. Now, for this one, there are questions that can be explained when studied further. So, ngano kailangan pa na siya? So, siguro, dili na to siya ma-appreciate karon, but someday, useful din na siya nga idea para ma-develop ang isa ka greater nga idea. So, like, for example, the speed of light. So, what is the purpose of determining the speed of light? So, siguro, kana siya, dagan kayo og mga inventions and ideas nag-emerge tungod lang ana nga certain idea tungod lang sa speed of light. So another one, we can use this to organize patterns and regularities as well as irregularities in our world. So it can help to control weather and epidemics. Now again, di ba, unsa lugar ning math, di bang ganit naka-control sa mga events sa tong life? Yes, that is true. However, when you say control, naana siya, may tabo na siya, pero you can do something para i-improve siya. For the epidemics now, like the ones that we're experiencing right now, the COVID pandemic. So, nga nung wala man ninawala, gamitan ni siyang math, according sa kuan, di ba, na? Now, if pasagdan nato siya, wala yoy pag-decrease sa number of cases na tabo. Now, with some interventions by the experts, di ba, as we can see no nga, karon dili na kayo siya nga nakataas ang pag-rise sa cases. However, naman gyud po isolated case nga tag-as og mga positivity rate sa ilang mga COVID nga mga patients or COVID individuals nga infected. However, still, kung wala siya interventions by us, by humans, mas worst pa siguro ang hitabuan na kung pasagdan na siya. Okay, another one, it provide tools for calculations. So again, how can we know that ang sukli sa imuhang 20 nga kuan og 5 kay 15 di ba niya na. So kailangan siya para naatay certain standard or basis when it comes to situations like that. And provide new questions to think about. So Kanesha is very useful for those who are always curious and always seeks new additional informations. Now, in general, mathematics can help in creating order in our life. Okay, another one, the importance of mathematics. So, in the early forms, it helped us quantify time. Okay, diba? It is really difficult if wala tay idea yun how to quantify time, to make measurements and take records. So, it is very useful in the development of agriculture when surpluses in food allowance allowed trade and also satisfied the need to keep accurate records and perform basic calculations. So, in general, no, si math is daghan kaayo siya o gidefine nga undefinable nga mga things before, like, di ba, on time. So, without the measure or the unit of time, no? How can we know that 1 hour na day ni agi? So tungod ani nga kuan nga discovery nga we can define time with like what we are using right now is very useful. And also the measurements. So how imagine no kung walay accurate nga kanang tool for measuring nga di ta kabalo nga ang 1 meter is nga na ang 1 meter, so our life would be chaotic. Okay, so this one is naara siya sa katong e-module nga akong gisend. Okay, another one. Kamo na lang read ani para dili ra kayo para dili ra kayo taas ato ang video. Okay. So in general, math makes a huge effect on all of our lives, and we regularly use mathematics every day without knowing it. So okay, so worksheet 1, maghatag na lang ko another instruction on what worksheets to answer. Okay, another lesson under this chapter is all about patterns and numbers in nature and the world. So imagine nga nag-hike ka along the road, and then when you look around, so daghan kay kag nakita, such as butterfly, vines, nag-ulan, raindrops, nga na. So nakay makita, di ba, ani nga things nga certain pattern. Okay. So another wait. In the example, notice that a butterfly. So na siya butterfly is an example of symmetry. So napo tay vine tendril or napo di siya kanang sa I forgot, basta kay kanang sa mga gulay na mura siya ga tuyok-tuyok something. And then the ripples of the raindrops. So circles nga pattern mo nakita. Honeycomb or kanang naiuban nga pamaligya og honey nga kanang gadala silang portion sa honey sa honeycomb or balay sa buyog, and then it looks like this. So mo siyang mga hexagon nga gipang join together ang sides. So yes, so the honeycomb is molded with a strict regularity. So hexagonal symmetry iyahang gipossess. Another one is a nautilus shell. Wala ko kabalon sa ni siya nga type. Basta ka it is a certain kind of mollusk. Tapos, as you can see, kung i-dissect nimo ang shell, it looks like this on the inside. So, na siya spirals. So, another process of self-similar growth yields a logarithmic spiral. So we find the same spiral in the path traced by a moth drawn towards light. In reality, wala kay ko ka-observe ani na kuan nga ang moth kay spiral daw siya, iyahang motion padulong siya sa light. Okay, so kamo na lang read ani. So narga po na siya dira sa e-module na PDF akong gisend. Okay, now looking closer. So naatay pattern nga gitawag nga symmetry. So symmetry is when different sides of something are alike. These reflections may be mirror images with only two sides, like the two sides of our bodies, and they may be symmetrical on several sides, like the inside of an apple sliced in half, or they might be symmetrical on all sides, like the different face of a cube. So sa dali nga storya, symmetry is kung i-fold nimo siya or i-cut at a certain point, di ba na nakay duha ka object nga ma-create. So kato sila duha is somewhat identical. So example ani di ba ang butterfly. So iyang wings. So, amot lang po doon na may butterfly nga, dili ba symmetrical ang forma. So, another example is your shadow. I mean, the shadow or kanang imong reflection sa water or reflection nimo sa mirror. Sa pa, your body. Kung i-cut nimo imong body, gikan sa sige, sa nose na lang ta magkuan, mag-base. Sa tip sa imong nose, padulong sa imong head, dahil padulong sa imuhang lubot. So, kung i-fold na nimo siya nga portion or i-cut, diba symmetric ang pikas ng body. So, the other body has one ear. So, sige sa pikas, siya one ear. Siya eyes, eye, isa, portion sa lips, na portion sa nose, so na. So, that is symmetry. So in living organisms, in order to balance, we need those symmetrical body structure so we don't fall over from imbalanced weight. So ang symmetry na siya purpose. So one purpose is that para maka-move properly ang isa ka object. So like the butterfly, so imagine if mas gamay ang other wings sa butterfly compare sa other half, di ba maglisod siya og lupad. Okay, so another one, so the snowflake, wala naka-observe ani kay walay snow sa Pilipinas. However, naa daw siya gipossess nga symmetry pod. So six-fold symmetry siya. And then kanilang no one of the mystery in nature. So we don't know how it occurs. Kay imagine, di ba dito hologram snow day. Ani siya when you zoom in or kung mo siyang i-look closely. Okay, another one, the diamond. So crystals like diamond are likewise constructed with a mathematical regularity. So like this one, a perfect shaped diamond. So wala po kitang diamond, I can say something about this. And also, a chemist could really explain how positively and negatively charged sodium and chloride ions arrange themselves neatly in a crystal lattice, resulting in salt crystals with a perfect cubic structure. And while beautiful, it is still somewhat of a mystery. So another object is another pattern is a fractal. Okay. So fractals is the never-ending patterns that repeat indefinitely as the pattern is iterated on a infinitely smaller scale. So sa daling istorya, ang fractals is self-similar. So mapamutanaw ka sa object from a distance or layo o mapapaduol or certain portions ato nga object same lang sila og what you call the same sila og pattern. Okay, so here are some examples. So makita na ko na siya sa trees. So sa rivers, mountains, shells, clouds, leaves, lightning, and others. So sa trees, so di ba kumatanaw ko sa tree, sa whole tree, na siya trunk and then branches nga naa po leaves. So when you cut a certain portion nga branch or sanga sa kahoy, di ba nagyapon siya sanga and then dahon. So mura gyapon siya og mini tree siya no. Kung maputol na pud ka portion na pud ato nga branch, di ba nalang gyapon siya sanga og dahon. So mura gyapon siya og miniature nga kahoy. Okay. So another example is fern. So okay. So kumutanaw ka sa fern, di ba? Iyahang shape is how do you call this? Basta. So kung mukat na po ka, kung imo na po siyang i-cut into like smaller portion like this one, so same lang gyapon sila og shape. Okay, and then i-cut na po mo siya dira smaller portion. Same lang gyapon siya og shape. So another example is the cauliflower. So gitawag po siya sa mga mathematicians of ultimate fractal vegetable. Now, its pattern is natural representation of a Fibonacci or the golden spiral, and the logarithmic spiral where every quarter turns is farther from the origin by a factor of 5, or the golden ratio. So, di ba, ang cauliflower, mura lang siya o ano, vegetable nga, mura siya kahoy nga vegetable. Tapos, when you kanang kung mag-cut kag certain portion ato do mura lagi po siya mini kahoy, then mag-cut kag smaller portion ato mini kahoy lagi po siya, which is still pareha lagi po siya tan-awon like the whole nga cauliflower. So kung imo na siyang i-zoom or tan-awon under a microscope, ing-ani pa gyud siya tan-awon. So katong mga dahon-dahon sa cauliflower, so same gyapon siya appearance. Tapos kung mag-take na kag certain portion like kaning lugar siya, same na gyapon siya og pattern or shape. Okay. Another one or another pattern is a spiral. So common po na siya nga pattern sa nature. So for example, horn sa ship, not the shell of a nautilus, or shell na lang para mas dali. And then the placement of leaves around a stem. So kani logarithmic spiral is a special type of spiral which as one that gets smaller as it goes more. Anam siya o pagamay. So some examples of kanang objects in our nature or in our world nga ga-possess og spiral nga pattern is the galaxies, hurricanes, and some seashells. So the galaxy is somewhat look like this. So mura siya og gatuyok nga na. So the hurricane, so ingani no sa kanang sa weather forecast makita na to nga ingani ang representation sa hurricane wherein kanang to nga is the epicenter. Okay, another patterns found in nature is the Fibonacci sequence, or some read this as Fibonacci. So basta kay Fibonacci sequence and Fibonacci is the same. So the idea of the Fibonacci sequence is introduced by Leonardo of Pisa. So karaan na kayo ni siyang concepts. So typically, mo ni siya ang Fibonacci sequence. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and 34. So how did we get these numbers in a sequence? So simple. The next number is found by adding up the two numbers before it. So for example, nag-start sa 0. Diba, the counting number starts with 0 and 1, 2, 3, and so on. So 0. So wala man tayo other number. So we will proceed with 1. And then, since na kay duha ka number, so you add them up to get the next number. So 0, 1, 0 plus 1 is still 1. Now, kani, base na punta kay 1 and 1. So 1 and 1 is 2. So next na po, to get 3, 2 plus 1. To get 5, 3 plus 2. To get 8, 5 plus 3, and so on. So, yan na siya. So here, so in this figure, mo ni siya ang gitawag nga logarithmic spiral. Now, the logarithmic spiral is mostly called as a nice spiral or the perfect spiral. Nga perfect siya. Perfect in the sense that its measurements kay based siya sa Fibonacci sequence or numbers from the Fibonacci sequence. So like this one. So kung 'di ba kani siya ang spiral, kaning color blue. So kung dire the end point is before aning start na po sa next nga pagtuyok sa spiral. So the area or the measurement of that one is 21 by 21. And then the other one, take na po ka, di ba, ana? So, to draw the other rectangle or square rather, so dili na po ka mo take sa edge kaning sa spiral nga nasa tunga or sa sulod nga part. So the area of that one is 13 by 13 and then this one, so dili na pud ka 8 by 8 until 5 by 5 and so on and so forth. So notice that 21, 13, 8 and 5 are numbers from the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, so kani siya na state na ni siya ganina no. So kani daw kuno ang shell nga Nautilus. Okay. Cephalopod mollusk na siya. Basta kay mollusk siya. So, ang iya daw ko ng spirals, still, gaposas daw ko na siya og Fibonacci numbers or ang iyahang spiral is nice spiral or perfect spiral. So, proportional iyahang shape. So, other examples nga na Fibonacci sequence ang ilahang measurements is the hurricane, our fingerprint, and an egg. Okay, another one there is napagiday, sunflower arrangement of sunflower seeds. Okay, so sige, read na lang this one. Kay aron mas further mo makasabot nga nung nasa symmetry or Fibonacci sequence ang sunflower seeds. So one example is that, di ba kani, muna siya ang sunflower seeds, ang tudlo sa pointer sa mouse. So kung i-count daw na nimo, di ba, the arrangement of seeds, kaya di ba, pwede man siya nga murag i-arrange sa paing-ani, di ba, pa counterclockwise, paana, yung spiral. Pwede po siya pa, bali na po kay nga ni. I hope you can see that one na siya movement ng murag clockwise ang arrangement sa seeds. Siya. Kung i-count do kuno nimo pila ka buok kanang galinya nga seeds nga ing aniga pa counterclockwise, clockwise o counterclockwise. Ang number daw kuno ana sa seeds is always Fibonacci, is always a number nga makita sa Fibonacci sequence. Okay, so another worksheet no. So again, I'll give instruction on the worksheets nga inyo ansiran. So another concept is the golden ratio. Now the golden ratio is represented by the Greek letter phi. Wait. So it looks like this. Oh, wait. Nara. Ay, close. Okay, so another one is the golden ratio. So the golden ratio is a special number found So the golden ratio. So the golden ratio is a special number found by adding a line into two parts so that the longer part divided by the smaller part is also equal to the whole length divided by the longer part. So the golden ratio um, is is noted as nga ni V or phi nga Greek letter, and some uses this symbol nga siya og letter T nga curve. Okay, so the golden ratio is from originally the idea of Euclid, where he said that golden ratio daw kuno is extreme and mean ratio. And later on, redefine siya ni Martin Ohm on 1835. He is a German mathematician. So according to him, ang golden ratio daw kuno is the golden is kaning common na nato nga nabalaan na definition sa golden ratio. So other terminologies na golden ratio lagi po ng pasabot is golden section, golden mean, given proportion. And algebraically speaking, equivalent na ni siya sa x plus 1 over x proportional to x over 1. So, in other words, so di ba na ay duha ka ways para makasolve ka sa golden ratio. So, the first one is di ba kani longer part divided by the smaller part, or pwede po nga ang whole part all over the longer part. So, yan na siya. So, the golden ratio is, yung value is equivalent to this one, or mas dali, 1.618. So, any measurement nga ihang ratio is closer to this one or equal ani is considered as perfect. Okay, perfect daw kuno siya. And some of the ancient Greeks were kanang they observed that kung naa daw kuno closer to golden ratio ang value sa isa ka particular object is aesthetically pleasing daw siya, or sa dali nga storya is guwapa. So, unsa di ay ning golden ratio? Kung naa mo kay golden ratio, so meaning, di ba, proportional ang measurements, which is sa dali nga storya, sakto kayo iyahang suod. So, when something is ingana daw kuno, mas pleasing daw siya sa mata. So, another concept nga or illustration is sa inyong module makita, the index finger. So, read na lang mo, ana. Okay, another one. So, the relationship between the golden ratio and the golden spiral. So, previously, naka-mention naman ta sa golden spiral. So, like this. So, the image below is Engineer Lynn M. Remo. So, in ana. So, sectioning this one, ingani daw ko, no? So, dada. So, kung imo ni siya longer, na shorter, ano mo siya og ratio. Kung dol-dol siya sa kandiyan duha ka box, this one, and then this na rectangle. Kung ang iyahang area, so longer divided by shorter, kung imo siyang i-divide, dayon, closer to the golden ratio, iyahang value, meaning, aesthetically pleasing siya or perfect siya nga combination sa measurements sa object. Yan na. So, like this one, sa imong hand, kung imong i-fold ang isa, ang pointer finger, yan na siya. And so on. So, another worksheet. So, if you have questions, please do message me in our group chat. Kay maybe your question is also the question of your classmate. Dayon ulalo silang ask. So at least when I answer your question, everyone can see the answer. You can also comment below and on our Google Classrooms for some clarifications and reactions. So that is all for the chapter 1 or the lesson 1. Thank you and God bless.